Hello dear students, I am Tushar Kumar Das, one of the TechU faculties working in Jorat Engineering College, Assam. So being a part of Let's Crack the Gate, I'm here to teach the basic part of the power electronics. And the previous lecture we have seen, the previous lecture we have discussed about the one of the that is the earlier technique of firing the thyristor, that is nothing but the resistor firing circuit. Okay, resistance firing circuit. So there you came to know that there are three conditions we checked. First condition it was that the pulse, that gate pulse that you are applying, that will be less than the VGT, means the gate voltage, that less than the threshold gate voltage. So that is the first case. Second case was when exactly VGP equal to VGT, and third case it was when VGP will be greater than equal to VGT. So you came to know that whenever VGP is less than VGT, in that case the thyristor was off. Okay, the thyristor was off. Okay, because it could not reach to the threshold value. That's why the gate current is not sufficient to make the current to flow through the device to reach to the latching current level. So that's why it becomes off. And second case, whenever it will be exactly equal to VGT, then you are getting a delay angle of 90 degree. Okay, then whenever it will be greater than VGT, will be getting alpha which will be less than 90 degree. So from this it is clear that we are getting the maximum value of 90 degree, maximum delay angle of 90 degree will be getting, and also we discuss the reason for it. So if you see that previous diagram, and that whenever it will be triggered, let's say it is triggered at omega t equal to let's say alpha, then in that case omega t equal to alpha, it will be triggered. So at that particular condition you can write down that VGP, that is the pulse voltage at that instant. Okay, that is sine omega t at omega t equal to alpha, that should be equal to the gate trigger and the threshold voltage. Then what will this value? It will be VGP sine alpha, that one will be equal to VGT. So why is this expression required? We need to find out what is the exact value of alpha. If you know the gate threshold voltage, and if you know what is the voltage, that is the pulse voltage that is available across the gate, then from this you can find out what is the value of alpha. Alpha will be equal to sine inverse VGT divided by VGP. Okay, so from this you can find out the expression for the value of alpha, if you know the gate pulse voltage as well as the gate threshold voltage. And if people know what is the gate pulse voltage, so gate pulse voltage, if you replace it there, because you people know that gate pulse voltage VGP, that was equal to the supply voltage maximum value Vm into R divided by R1 plus R2 plus R. So this value you can replace it here, so that further the alpha will be simplified to a value, that expression that will be equal to sine inverse, it will be VGT into this denominator will be going off, it will be R1 plus R2 plus R, this whole divided by R. Okay, so this will be the exact value of R. So if you see, so R, in this R1 is fixed value, R is fixed value, only the variable is R2. Okay, so if you see, so alpha will be, it will approximately, it will be a function of sine inverse of R2. Okay, so from this also, so if you vary the, so if you are designing this one after knowing finding out this R1 R and R2 value, so you can find out if you vary the R2 value, then it will be getting the exact location of firing. Okay, so this is all about that resistance triggering. So next triggering circuit that, or firing circuit, that we'll be discussing, that is nothing but RC firing circuit. RC firing circuit. So RC firing circuit, let's draw the circuit, how it design. This will be the supply voltage, and here the load will be present. Then after that, here we'll be having the thyristor. This is the gate terminal. This will be connected like this. So firing circuit, here well, you can put one resistance, then here one capacitance. So due to this presence of this resistance and capacitance, it is named as RC firing circuit. So this would be R and this will be C, and this is the thyristor, that is, let's say this is BT, and here will be one diode will be connected. This is connected to gate. The voltage here will be the gate voltage, and here additionally one diode is connected. This is R. Additionally one diode will be connected like this. This is D1, this is D2, and the supply voltage Vs equal to Vm sin omega, that is sinusoidal voltage. So this is the circuit which is called as the RC firing circuit. Okay. So whenever the capacitor will get charged to a voltage which will be equal to the threshold value, then the device will be switched on and the current will be flowing through from this is anode and this is cathode. So from anode to cathode current will flow. But how it will be how it is done? So let's see that one. So what is the condition for that? So condition is that your supply voltage, okay, so supply voltage must be greater than, so what is the condition? This voltage must be greater than the voltage that will be the capacitor will be charged, this voltage plus this gate voltage. Okay, so for that if you find out what will be the total voltage across this across the gate, that will be, if it is reaching to the threshold value, then only it will be switched on. Okay, so what is the condition for the operating this one? The one condition is that this voltage must be greater than equal to, let's say greater than equal to voltage drop across this resistance and voltage stored in the capacitor. So here let's say the current, whenever it is triggered, it is going to trigger, let's say this is IGT. So IGT is nothing but the gate threshold current. Gate threshold current. Okay, so what will be the drop? IGT into R. So whatever the voltage across this capacitor, that will be Vs. So what is the condition? The Vs will be greater than equal to R into IGT plus Vc. Okay, so from this condition you can, so additionally what you can do, you can write down here what is this Vc. So Vc, if you see, this is the gate threshold value voltage, this plus voltage across this one, let's say this is BD1. So Vc will be equal to this voltage drop plus the gate threshold value. So we can replace it here. So Vs will be greater than equal to R into IGT. In place of Vc you can write down, it will be equal to VGT plus VD1. Okay. Now from this condition, what we will be getting? R will be less than equal to, because whenever you will be going for the designing this value of this circuit, particularly you should know what is the value of R. So how to get? So R should be equal to the supply voltage Vs minus VGT. If you solve this one, you will be getting this expression, and VD1 divided by, it will be IGT. So this expression is utilized for designing RC firing circuit. Okay, so after getting R, then how to empirically it is calculated, that how to calculate the value of C. So it is, the value of C will be calculated empirically. So how it will be calculated? So RC will be equal to, RC will be greater than, that is 4 divided by omega. Actually it is 4 divided by omega, where omega is the this supply frequency, that is the 4 by omega. So from this, after getting R, you can get the value of C. So C must be greater than 4 by R into omega. So from this we can find out the value of C. So these values are required for designing this firing circuit. Now let's see how this circuit behaves. Now if you look at this circuit, okay, so you know that this is a sinusoidal voltage, so there will be two cycles, one will be positive half cycle, one will be negative half cycle. One positive half cycle, this will be the voltage, and negative half cycle, this will be the voltage minus plus. So this is for positive half cycle, this is for negative half cycle. So in the positive half cycle, now the question comes, in the positive half cycle, look at here. So even though the device will be forward biased, as the gate circuit will not be reaching to the threshold value, that's why it will not be turned on. Okay, then what happens, the capacitor, okay, so capacitor may not get charged due to the in the positive half cycle. In the positive half cycle, what happens, whenever the current flows through this one, so that current will be flowing to the gate, so VC will not be charged much. Okay, so VC will never be charged much, so that it will be turning on the thyristor. Okay, so in the positive half cycle, the capacitor will never get charged. Okay, so what will happen, first you will start with the negative half cycle. So we'll see what happens in negative half cycle. So the negative half cycle with this polarity, negative here, positive here, so current flows in this path. So what is the path? So current can flow through this diode, because this resistance value is high. Okay, so due to that one, if the capacitor may not get charged through this resistor, so the current will be flowing through this diode, so that it will be getting path like this, so that the capacitor will be charged. So capacitor will be charged with a polarity of here plus, here it will be minus. So now let's draw the waveforms. If you draw the waveforms, so this will be, let's say, omega t. This is the supply voltage, this is the sinusoidal voltage. You can plot it here. Okay, so let's show this one before the positive cycle. Let's show the one negative cycle. Okay, so this is the supply voltage. So this is the plus Vm and this is the minus Vm. Okay, so no need to show the minus Vm here. So this is the minus Vm. Okay, now so this instant is 0, this is pi, this is 2 pi, and this is 3 pi. Now what happens, look at here circuit. So as in the positive half cycle, the capacitor will not get fully charged due to the presence of the high resistance. So that's why the capacitor will get charged in the negative half cycle. So whatever the polarity here, here it will be plus, here it will be minus. So whenever the capacitor will be fully charged, here the voltage will be minus Vm. So when the capacitor gets charged, the voltage across this one, this is minus Vm. Okay, so the capacitor voltage, it will start from 0 and it will reach to the maximum voltage Vm. Okay, then after that what happens, whenever it is charged to the minus Vm, so completely it is charged. So now no charging current will flow, but what will happen when the time of this supply voltage, now if when it is approaching 0, the voltage across the capacitor gradually it will be little bit reduced. Okay, so it will be little bit reduced. Let's say this point is A. Let's say this point is A. Then after that, in the next positive half cycle, what will happen, because now the capacitor is a little bit charged, so what will happen, if you in the next positive half cycle you can charge the capacitor. So what will happen, now the next positive half cycle, when the polarity here plus, here it is the minus, then the capacitor will get charged again. So capacitor will get charged again means, first of all the voltage across the capacitor is negative, so gradually it will appear, okay, gradually the voltage will be appearing across 0, approaching towards 0. Then after that it will be, at this point it is 0. 0 means now the capacitor voltage across the capacitor has become 0. Now it will try to increase in the positive direction. So positive direction, here it will be the, let's say if this is the threshold value of the gate voltage, now it will try to increase in this direction. So whenever it will be increasing to this direction means the voltage across the capacitor, already you know, Vc we have written here. So Vc equal to Vgt plus Vd1. So Vc equal to Vgt plus Vd1. Okay. So when the capacitor will be exactly equal to this voltage, okay, then it is reaching to the threshold value. So whenever it will be reaching to the threshold value, the gate signal will be able to turn on the device. Now that it will turn on. So all the currents will be now diverted through the thyristor. When all the currents will be diverted through the thyristor, then this voltage coming, it will be coming gradually to the 0 value. Why? Because now the capacitor in that condition it will be charged with plus minus, so the capacitor will get also discharged to this thyristor. So capacitor will get discharged to the thyristor, so that because heavy current will be flowing whenever it is switched on, so the capacitor voltage will become 0. Okay. Then after that again the same thing, again the same cycle will be repeating in the next negative half cycle. Again it will be increasing to the minus Vm, then it will be reduced, then it will be tending towards. So this instant, at this instant your device is switched on. So you can say that this will be the firing angle. So this one will be the firing angle alpha, because at this instant only the voltage across the gate terminal that reaches to the threshold value. So how to control them? If this is the curve, whether you will be getting for this one? No. So that depends upon the value of R, how the capacitor will be charged. Okay, because capacitor always will be passed to the charge to the this red path in the next positive half cycle after the negative cycle. So that depends upon the value of R. So this corresponds to a, so how it is depending upon the, you people know that the time constant of the RC circuit is R into C. So if R value is high, then if R is high, then tau will be high. So tau will be high. So tau will be high means to get charge it needs 4 to 5 times of the time constant to get it completely charged. So that is proportional to the time constant. As time constant is high, so what will happen? It will take more time. It will take more time to reach to the threshold value. So that's why this curve, it is corresponding to high value of R. Okay, this corresponds to high value of R, high value of resistor, because the time constant increases. Okay, then how to control them? If you see, so let's take that you have chosen a low value of R. If you are choosing a low value of R, so it will follow the same path. Means it will be charging to a negative minus Vm. Then gradually the voltage will be reduced to this value. Okay. Then after that, if you are choosing a low R, low resistance path, if you are choosing one low resistance, okay, means the low value of R, low value of R, in that case what will happen? The time constant will be low. So time constant will be low means to get it charged, it will take less time. Means, now see how it will be discharging. So it will be discharging in this path. So whenever here it is completely 0, the voltage across the capacitor is completely 0 at this instant. Then whenever the voltage will be increasing and it will be reaching towards the value of Vgt. Okay. Then at that instant the thyristor gets on and this voltage will become 0. In that condition, this will be the alpha. this value will be the firing angle. Clear? This will be the value of the firing angle. So if you see, if you plot the waveform, okay, what will be the V0? V0 means whenever the thyristor conducts, look at here, whenever the thyristor conducts, then only will be getting certain voltage here. So V0 will be getting the, for high value of R, for high value of R you will be getting this is the alpha. So this is corresponding V0 corresponding to high value of resistance. So at this instant it is switched on, so we'll be getting only this part of the, this is pi, okay, so we'll be getting only this part of the output voltage, this part of the output voltage. So this is alpha, this value is your alpha, okay, and this value is your pi. Clear? The next instant, so this will be the output voltage, the negative half cycle, again output, because the thyristor will be off, so because this reverse voltage will be applied across it, so it will be off. The next instant after that negative cycle, again the same thing will be repeating, okay. So here we will be getting, so this one will be 2 pi plus alpha to 3 pi, will be getting the output. So this is for high value of R. If it is a low value of R, if it is a low value of R, what will be the V0 for low value of R? For low value of R, so this is the on time, so that corresponding point, if you plot it here, so this one will be your alpha. So this one will be your alpha, then up to pi, what will be getting? Will be getting the output voltage up to pi, like this. So this is nothing but alpha, alpha to pi. Then after that again it will be 0. Same thing will be happening here, okay. So but here it is this voltage, it will be reaching to the this value. So this one is the alpha. So this will be repeating at this end. So if it is repeating, you'll be getting the, so here it will be alpha 2, it is 2 pi plus alpha to 3 pi, okay. So this is for low value of alpha, this is for high value of alpha, so which is regulated by the value of the resistance. So if you choose the value of resistance, then you will be getting the different output voltage waveforms. Now, so after getting V0, it is very easy. I0, no doubt, no need to find out, it will be only the replication, because if you are assuming that load is one resistive load, so you can get the value of only the amplitude will be reduced, but there will be nothing more change. But the thing is that you have to calculate the for Vt, okay, the voltage across the thyristor. Voltage across the thyristor, whenever it conducts, it will be 0 if you are assuming the thyristor to be ideal. So if it is not conducting, then supply voltage reflection will be that, so it will be Vs minus V0, okay, as in the case of a resistance firing circuit you have studied. So it will be Vs minus V0. So Vs minus V0, so that Vs is sinusoidal voltage, so this minus the, for high value of R, this one will be the V0, okay. So for high R, how it will be, only this part, whenever it is conducting, only this part will be missing. So here it will be like this, then it will be 0 for the duration, then reverse all that is 2 pi, that reverse voltage, that the negative half cycle, that will be appearing across here. Then after that it will continue up to this one. This is 2 pi, this is 2 pi plus alpha, this is pi, this is alpha, okay, that is Vt, okay. Then for low value of R, for low value of R, the Vt will be, means the supply voltage Vs minus this green one, if you minus, then this is the alpha, and this is the pi. Out to this duration it will be 0. So here it will be 0. This is alpha. Then this is pi. Up to pi it will be 0. Then pi to 2 pi. It will be the reverse voltage. Then after that it will be less reflection of this one. So this is 2 pi and this will be 2 pi plus alpha. So no need to, this is just to for your information how the VT will be. So because see generally this voltage, why all the cases we are finding out this voltage, but because peak inverse voltage, so this voltage, so that is required for choosing the device. So if you see the data sheet of thyristor, the based on the peak inverse voltage, the cost of the device will be varying. Okay, so that's why you need to find out the voltage across the thyristor. So this is nothing but the RC firing circuit. Okay, but here RC firing circuit, one thing will be coming to know, here the firing alpha can vary from 0 to 180 degree. So here for RC firing circuit, RC firing circuit, the alpha can vary between 0 to 180 degree. Okay, but that also found out that, okay, that alpha can never be equal to 0 and 180 degree. Okay, it is in between 0 to 180 degree, but it is found out that it will never be equal to 0 or it will never be equal to 180 degree. So alpha you can vary from 0 to 180 degree. Okay, but here also the same thing is that as the drawback of our resistance firing circuit, here also same drawback will be there, because continuously the gate supply will be available where, so that's why there will be some current will be flowing through this one. That's why there will be continuous gate current will be available, so that will be increasing the gate power dissipation. Okay, if gate power dissipation increases, the junction temperature also increases, that may affect the performance of the device. So that's why this method is also not preferred. Okay, even though it is better than the resistance firing circuit, which was only from 0 to 90 degree, but this one will be getting a firing angle from 0 to 180 degree, even though it will never be equal to 0 and 180 degree, still it is a little bit better than the previous one. And this is one configuration. So one configuration means it is like a half wave configuration. Half wave configuration, only you are getting the positive voltage here, positive voltage. So there is another configuration for this one that is possible. Only thing is that you will be having one full wave rectifier. So how the circuit will be? The circuit will be little, only change will be, yeah. So here will be one diode bridge rectifier will be connected. This is what called the full wave configuration. This will be called full wave configuration. So this is D1, D2, D3, D4. Okay, so this voltage here it will be having the DC voltage. Okay, let's say this voltage VD, here it will be plus, here it will be minus, and this one will be connected to a load. Then here will be connecting the thyristor. Okay, and nothing will be present here, only except one R, which will be tuning the exact location of the firing. Okay, then it will be directly connected to the gate terminal, and here will be the capacitor. Here will be the capacitor, and this will be VT. And if you see this circuit to the previous circuit, here is the supply voltage Vs. The difference is that here you will be applying a DC voltage. So you know that whenever you will be applying here a sinusoidal voltage, so here what is the output here? The output will be like this full wave rectifier. Now we will be applying this voltage, so the capacitor will be charged with this polarity, and whenever this voltage, this is very simple compared to the previous configuration. When this capacitor will be charged to a voltage VC will be equal to VGT, then this one will be switched on. So here also will be getting the same thing, between 0 to alpha will be getting 0 to 180 degree, but provided that here only the circuit is very simple. So how will be getting the waveforms? So waveforms will be getting let's say this is omega t, okay, this is Vs, this is the sinusoidal voltage, that is pi, 2 pi and 3 pi. Clear? The next thing is that, so this is Vd. So Vd, how it will be? Only this is a full wave rectifier. So full wave rectifier means we'll be getting voltage like this. Okay. So what will happen when the capacitor gets charged? So capacitor will start from 0. Okay, the capacitor will start from 0. It will reach to the Vm. Okay, then whenever gradually it will be approaching Vm. Let's say but the thyristor threshold voltage, let's say here, if this is your VGT, then this will be switched on here. Okay, so this one will be your alpha. So this is for low value of R. Now what will happen if it is high value of R? If it is high value of R, how it will be looking like? So it will start from 0. Okay, it will start from 0. But if it is high value of R, the capacitor may not follow the same path. So if this is your VGT, okay, it is VGT, so it will reach to the VGT some instant here. So this one will be the now alpha. This will be the new alpha for high value of R. For high value of, and that will be the only sense. So this circuit is a little bit easier than the previous one. Okay, no extra diodes will be present here, and here only it will be connected like this, and it will be connected in such a manner that you can, by varying the value of the resistance, this variable resistance R, you can choose a different firing angle. So it will be a little bit simple than the previous one. And while choosing this one, particular configuration, okay, so what is the value? If you want to design this one, the R value will be equal to Vs minus Vgt divided by Igt. So directly, because here will be the Igt current. Okay, so so because here actually the voltage is Vd, okay, but Vd is proportional to Vs, so that's why you can put it in terms of Vs. So Vs minus Vgt by Igt. So from this you can choose the value of R for designing the circuit, and empirically it is calculated the RC value. RC value must be greater than or equal to 157 by omega. Okay, so from this we can calculate the value of C, that will be equal to 157 divided by R into omega. Okay, by taking these values you can design this particular firing circuit. So as this circuit is having the inherent drawback, okay, that's why it will be only varying from 0 to 180 degree, but it will never be equal to 0 to 180 degree. That is the first thing. Second thing is that there will be continuous gate supply will be applied. So continuous gate signal will be applied. So continuous gate signal, if it is applied, then how it affects? It affects in such a way that with gate power dissipation, so gate power dissipation increases. So that will be reflected in terms of heat. So as a result, junction temperature increases. So in order to avoid this method, that's why we need to give one gate signal just to turn on the thyristor, and then after that you can remove the gate signal, because after the anode current reaches to the latching current, then it lost control over the thyristor. So that's why thyristor is called a semi-controlled. You can control the on time, then after that you don't have any control. So you have to now from this, what is the conclusion? Conclusion is that if gate signal will be, this is the conclusion from these two method of firing circuit. If gate signal will be applied like a pulse if it will be applied like a pulse, then till the anode current, okay, becomes greater than the latching current, okay, then after that you can remove. So that's why, this is the reason why we came to one conclusion, that you will be applying like a pulse, okay. So that if you're applying like a pulse, so when what will be the width of the pulse? The width of the pulse should be sufficient just to make the anode current equal to the latching current, okay. So greater than equal to the latching current, then you can remove this pulse, okay, so that the gate power dissipation will not be there and junction temperature will not rise, okay. So that is the conclusion. So for this purpose, now next, that firing circuit, that whatever you will be using, that will be more or less, it will be like a pulse. So if that signal will be applied, then our objective here, this objective will be achieved. So the next triggering method is UJT triggering method. UJT triggering method, okay. So UJT triggering method is nothing but this is one transistor, actually, that is known as unijunction transistor. So unijunction transistor, our first task will be to understand what is the operation of unijunction transistor. Then you will see that how it is implemented, or how it is used to trigger the thyristor, okay. So that unijunction transistor, it has certain property, okay. So what is that property you will be writing? So first thing is that UJT offers a pulse type gate signal. It offers a pulse type gate signal. So you will see that gate signal, whatever it will be applying, that will be like a pulse, okay. So which is meeting our objective, okay, which consumes less power, okay. So that is the one of the advantages of the unijunction transistor. So how it is done? So it is done, see, as its name is suggesting, it is unijunction, means here the number of junction is 1, okay. Junction is 1, means if you are designing with the help of N or P type material, then one PN junction will be present, okay. But it is a transistor, so that's why it is called as the unijunction transistor, okay. So how it is designed? So it is designed when a N type silicon base, okay, N type silicon base is embedded with P type emitter, okay. So whenever it will be means P type silicon base will be embedded with P type emitter, then it will be resulting as a unijunction transistor. So unijunction transistor, it has two bases. Okay, because you know that in generally bipolar junction transistor, you will be having base, collector, emitter. So here we will be having two bases and one emitter, okay. So it is termed as B1 and B2 and one emitter. So there's a 3 terminal, but two bases will be there, okay, and one emitter will be there. So how it is the design? So you take one N type silicon base, okay, this is n-type silicon base, then here you embedded a small p-type material. Okay, so this hash region is p-type material and this is n-type material. This is n-type material. Now this terminal will be the emitter terminal. Okay, and this terminal will be the base 2 and this terminal will be termed as the base 1. Okay, so here will be having one junction from this P to N. Okay, that will be only one junction, that's what is known as junction transistor. Okay, unijunction transistor. So here it is forming one resistance. Okay, and this is the common junction point. So here another forming another resistance. So this point is known as A. So this point is known as eta point. This point is known as eta point. So there are two resistances. This is RB2 and this resistance is known as RB1. Okay, that is nothing but the eta point. So what is the role of this eta point, that will come to know. Then what is the symbol of this unijunction transistor? So unijunction transistor is represented like this. Okay, so this is the unijunction transistor. This terminal is B2, this terminal is B1, but this terminal is emitter. Okay, now if you just open this one, then you can see one PN junction is formed. So PN junction, for to understand the operation, you can represent that one PN junction as a diode. So you can start with this one. So this is the emitter terminal. Okay, then as it is forming one PN junction here. Okay, so that you can represent through one PN junction diode. Okay, you can form one PN junction diode. So this is emitter terminal. So here you are forming one PN junction diode. Okay, so here will be the resistance, that is RB1. Okay, that will be coming to this terminal, that is base 1. Okay, and this will be the connected like this. Then here will be the second resistance, that is RB2. Okay, then here this will be connected here. This will be the voltage, that is VBB. Okay, so here the voltage is plus minus, this is PE. Okay, here current flowing, that will be IE. Okay, and this point is A, which is known as eta point. Now what will be the voltage VAB1? VAB1, that is called as the eta point voltage. So that will be equal to, this is the supply voltage, so this apply the potential division. So VBB into RB1 by RB1 plus RB2. So it will be equal to VBB into RB1 divided by RB1 plus RB2. So this VAB1, okay, this VAB1, that is equal to eta into VBB. Okay, so what is the value of eta? In eta equal to RB1 divided by RB1 plus RB2. Okay, so that's why that point is known as the eta. So eta, what is the term for eta? It is nothing but it is called intrinsic standoff ratio. So intrinsic standoff ratio is nothing but RB1 divided by RB1 plus RB2. Okay, so now this is the representing the exact unijunction transistor. Now by looking at this transistor, we'll be plotting the VI characteristics for this unijunction transistor. So after plotting the VI characteristics of this unijunction transistor, then we'll come to know that how it is suitable for switching on the thyristor. So that's a very essential to draw the VI characteristics. So this is IE. Okay, so this is VE. Okay, now initially if you see, so this point voltage is eta VB. Okay, eta VB, this voltage let's say VD. Okay, so initially what happens, the whatever the V is applied, this V is applied, that will be less than the VB. Initially what happens, that VE, okay, that will be less than the eta VB. So if this is the condition, so this voltage is less, so what will happen, this diode will be reverse bias. So what will happen, current will be flowing in the reverse direction. For certain duration the current will flow in the reverse direction, because this this point potential eta VB, that is greater than the VB, so current will flow in the reverse direction. So for certain duration the current will be flowing, so that point will be mentioned here as, let's say it is P. Okay, so that point is here P, where the small amount of negative current that is flowing here. Then what will happen, gradually this eta VB will decrease. So when the eta VB will be decreasing, then that will be equal to, so what is the second condition, this is the first condition. Second condition, what will happen, gradually this eta VB decreases. Okay, so when the eta VB decreases, that will be equal to VE will be equal to eta VB. If this is the condition, so here initially IE will be negative. Now here when these both are equal, then this emitter current that will become 0, because both the potentials are equal now. So how it will be done? So when it will be happening, so it will be gradually the current will be increasing, and whenever it will be reaching to this S point, okay, and let me draw it clearly. Okay, so this point is known as S. So at this S position, your V equal to eta VB. So what will happen? So now both the voltages are equal. So now no current will be flowing. So this reverse current will be removed. So no current will be flowing. Now further, if V is increased, what will happen? It will be, the current will be flowing in this direction. The current will be flowing in this direction. So I will be increasing. So when I will be increasing, then this will be reaching to a value. This will be reaching to a value known as the peak value. This will be reaching to the value. Okay, this point is known as the point P, which is called the peak value. Okay, this corresponding point is known as the peak value. So this is the VP, and corresponding current here, that will be the peak current, IP. So this P is known as the peak point. Okay, then what will happen in this condition? So whenever the emitter current is increasing, so emitter current is increasing means, so what will happen, emitter current is increasing means what it is allowing, or it is forcing holes to enter here, because in the direction of the current, always you people might be knowing that the holes move in the direction of the current and electrons move in the opposite direction of the current. So as the current is increasing, means it is allowing more and more currents to flow to the lower part of the base region. So when the holes will be more here, then what will happen, it will reduce the resistance. So what will happen, RB1 will be less. Okay, so will be less. So what will be the reason? That means RB1 will decrease. So RB1 will be decreasing means the current is increasing. Okay, the current is increasing, but the voltage is remaining constant. So if you might know what is the resistance, if you are representing this resistance RE, that is VE divided by IE. Now what is happening, IE is increasing, but VE has remaining constant. So what will happen, RE will decrease. So RE will decrease. So how to show that one? That will be showing here. So it will be falling down. Okay, so see, the IE is increasing. Okay, IE is increasing. If you see here, this side IE is increasing, but voltage is remaining constant. Then after that, again it is falling down. So this voltage VE will fall down. So that is what happens. That is what called the negative resistance region. So this one is called the negative resistance region. So this, it will be reaching to the one point. That point is termed as C, and this point is called valley point. Valley point means the lower voltage. Okay. So this corresponding voltage at this voltage, that will be the valley voltage, and corresponding current is the valley current. Okay. Then after that, what will happen? So you cannot go on adding the holes here, because at certain point of time this will be saturated. If this will be saturated, it will have no more effect. Then after that, further if the emitter current increases, then the voltage will try to increase. The voltage will increase in this person. Okay. So this is nothing but termed as, let's say, Q. This is termed as Q. So this is what nothing but the characteristics of the VI characteristic of the unijunction transistor. So if you look at here, it is this shape. This shape is more or less, it is like a pulse. It is like a pulse. Okay. So by looking at this circuit, you can find out that by looking at this particular circuit, you will be finding that this is similar. It is looks like as if it is a pulse. So that's why you can apply this one to turn on the thyristor. That also we'll see how it will be used to turn on the thyristor. Okay. So this is what the VI characteristics of the unijunction transistor. Okay. So this point is called peak point. This is called the valley point. So you can apply, you can choose this valley point. You can consider from here to here. You can consider from this portion to this portion. So this is the peak voltage, and this is the valley voltage. So if your this peak voltage will be equal to the gate threshold voltage, okay, then it can turn on the thyristor. Okay, then it will be switched on and it switched off, so it will be coming down to the valley point. Then again it will repeat. So within this region it will be operating, and this region is known as the negative resistance region. Okay, then you can form one load line. Okay, you can form one load line to find out the particular value of the voltage and current for switching on one particular thyristor. Okay, now this unijunction transistor, now you will be implementing to turn on a thyristor. So how we'll be doing? We'll be using in one circuit. So that circuit output will be reflecting like a pulse. So that one you can give it to a thyristor, which can turn on the thyristor. So look at here how it is. Let's say now we are representing through that symbol. So this is nothing but unijunction transistor. So here it is. This is the symbol of unijunction transistor. Then here you can connect one resistance, that is R, and here it is connected to, so here you can connect another resistor. This is R2, so this voltage is, let's say, VBB. Okay, and here you can connect another resistance. This is R1, and here you can connect one capacitor. Okay, so here you can take the output voltage V0. Okay, so this is R2 VB, then this is the emitter, this is the capacitor, and this will be the VE voltage. Okay, so this is B1, this is B2, and this is emitter. Now in this circuit, now let's see how the output voltage will be varying, and that output how it will be used as the triggering pulse. Okay, so if you will plot this one, now here it will be we're taking time t, the abscissa, and here it is the VE voltage. Okay, that is the voltage across the emitter. So we'll be plotting the voltage across the emitter. So emitter voltage, what is the maximum voltage? The maximum voltage, that is nothing but the VP. Okay, then what is the minimum voltage? The minimum voltage that you from the characteristics you can find out, that is the valley point voltage. Now what happens? It will be starting. So it will be starting with the VB. So voltage will be increasing from this minimum point voltage to the. So how this voltage will be increasing? Now look at here. When you are giving this voltage, so what will happen? It will be current will be flowing in this path. if current is flowing in this path, the capacitor will charge through this path, through this resistance R. The capacitor will charge with this polarity. When this voltage will be increasing, then it will supply the emitter current to here. Then emitter current will be increasing, coming to here, and you'll be getting the output voltage. So the voltage that will start with the value point voltage, and it will be increasing in this fashion. Okay, so how this is decided? So this is decided, let's say T1, that is decided in the based on the time constant of R and RC circuit that is found over there. So based on that time constant, it will be reaching to the peak value. Then after reaching to the peak value, then what will happen? The capacitor is fully charged. Now capacitor will be discharged through this path. So it will be discharged through this resistance R1. Then only you will be getting the output voltage. The capacitor will be discharging here up to the value point. So this is T2. So T2 will be decided by this R1 and C. So the T2 will be equal to R1 and C. So similarly, then after that, again the cycle will repeat. The cycle will repeat. So this one, this period. Okay, when the capacitor is discharged, you will be getting the output. Okay, because the capacitor is discharged, then only you will be having the drop across the resistance R1. So that will be nothing but the output voltage. So if you plot it here, that is the V0. So V0, how it will be looking like? Only during this period. Only during this period. Okay, so this will be this duration. Okay, so what will be this duration? This one is the output voltage. Now this duration should be our delay angle. So this duration will be delay angle, means this omega t equal to alpha. So what will be this duration in terms of t? So t will be equal to alpha by omega. Okay, means this duration will be equal to alpha by omega, because here axis we have taken in terms of time t. So now if you look at here, this is like a pulse. For certain duration it will be on, and this pulse will be, how it will be designed, how it will be chosen. It will be chosen in such a manner that this R1, based on the value of R1, you have to choose in such a manner that this pulse will be sufficient to make the anode current to the thyristor, that will be greater, anode current greater than equal to the latching current. Then the device, you can remove the gate signal. So what is that duration? That is nothing but alpha by omega. So if t equal to alpha by omega, then only omega t can be switched on at alpha. Clear? So this is how the unijunction transistor used for generating a pulse type signal, which will be applied to the thyristor to get it turned. Okay, get it turned on. Now if you want to design, okay, so now let's find out this value. So what is the value of Vp? Vp equal to the eta point voltage, that is eta into VBB. Okay, if you look at this VI characteristics, what was the peak value of VE? This drop plus this drop, so that you can write down here, eta VB plus VT, that is the diode voltage, that is the maximum voltage. So this thing you can write down here as this is equal to V, assuming that this diode voltage equal to the value point voltage, that is the minimum voltage that you can see. When this part will be, this voltage will be 0. What is the minimum voltage? That is the drop across this diode. So that one, if you assume as the value point voltage, then what you can write down? Vp will be equal to Vv plus this eta Vv. So eta Vv, how we are getting? Through the capacitor. When the capacitor gets charged through R, so that you can write down, it will be total supply voltage is VBV into 1 minus e to the power minus t divided by, okay, divided by RC. Okay, minus t divided by RC. So t is the duration for which it is on. So if you have chosen this one is T1, so you can take it like this T1. Okay, T1 divided by T. No, you have to take it T. So T divided by RC. You have to take this T divided by RC. Then Next thing is that then what will be the value of eta? So this is, if you equate this to, so this is the value point voltage, then what is the value of eta? Eta will be equal to 1 minus e to the power minus t, okay, let it be capital T, so t divided by RC. Okay, this is the value of eta. And if people know that this is the time period, t is the time period, t is the total time period. So how to mention this t? So t is nothing but this period. This period, if you mention, that is t. Okay, so t equal to 1 by the frequency. So 1 by frequency, that will be equal to t equal to 1 by frequency. So from this, if you solve this one, so it will be, you can take this one this side, so it will be e to the power minus t by RC, that is the time period. So that one will be equal to 1 minus eta, then minus t divided by RC, that will be equal to ln 1 minus eta, okay, then you can take minus common, so it will be ln 1 by 1 minus eta. So from this you can calculate the value of t. So from this you solve it, and it will be equal to 1 by f equal to RC into ln 1 by 1 minus eta. Okay, 1 minus eta. So here my 1 minus eta is coming from the negative sign. So negative, if you are making it positive, so this one will become ln 1 by 1 minus eta. Okay, then RC you can multiply there, so t will be equal to RC into this value. So this is the expression for time. Okay, time, that is 1 by f RC ln 1 by 1 minus eta. Then alpha equal to omega into t. Okay, alpha equal to omega into t, that is equal to omega RC, that is equal to ln divided by 1 minus eta. Okay, so this is the expression for the firing angle that you will be getting. Okay, so here what is the assumption that we'll be making? The assumptions will be making that the R1 value, okay, the R1 value that we'll be choosing, that should be sufficiently small. Sufficiently small, so that normal leakage current, okay, drop across R1 will not able to switch on UJT. Okay, you will not able to switch on UJT when it is off. So that R1 value, so look at here, the R1 value that will be choosing, that should be small. So it will be so small that even if it is a small leakage current flows through that, okay, that will not able to trigger to switch on the UJT, okay, when it is off. Okay, so then I told you that whatever the technique used, okay, so here the V0, so that V0 must be able to that will be equal, whenever it will be equal to the gate threshold value, then only it will be switched on. So what you can write down, that voltage V0, you can write down VVV, okay, into R1, okay, divided by RB1 plus RB2, okay, plus R1 plus R2, okay, that one should be less than equal to ACR, trigger voltage BGT. Okay, so this condition must be satisfied. What is it saying? That whenever the current will be flowing in this path, okay, so it will be VBB okay, into R1, okay, so VBB into R1 divided by RB1 plus RB2, it is the internal resistance of the unit junction transistor, and R1 R2 are, in that case it will be termed as series connection, so it will be R1 plus R2. So that voltage must be less than equal to less than the thyristor trigger voltage VGT. Okay, so from this condition, it is assumed that, or empirically it is calculated as R2 value. Okay, so R2 value will be equal to 10 to the power 4 divided by eta into VB. So this value you have to remember to solve the problem. So if you are asked to design one circuit having to find out the value of R2, then you can design it 10 to the power 4 divided by eta into VBB. Okay, thus this empirical value is calculated to avoid thermal effect. Okay, then so after taking the R2 value, R1 value, it should be sufficiently small. So only what was left, the value of R. So how to choose the value of R? Okay, so write down. So if you see next thing, that maximum value of R, how it will be designed, the maximum value of R, okay, that is decided by peak to peak values of Vp and Ip. Okay, so how the capacitor will be charged, that will be decided by what is the maximum voltage. Maximum voltage means this Vp, okay, and corresponding Ip. So in terms of the Vi characteristics, this value and this value, it is depending upon it. So how the capacitor will get charged, because during that period only, if you see this Vi characteristics and this characteristics, during this region, okay, only the capacitor is getting charged through R. So that depends upon whenever it will be reaching to the peak value, what is the corresponding current, and what is the corresponding emitter voltage VE, that is nothing but Vp and Ip. So it is depending upon the peak to peak values of Vp and Ip when the capacitor charges to Vp. So because the capacitor charges to the maximum voltage of Vp. Okay, so what was the voltage across the capacitor? Voltage across the capacitor. Voltage across the capacitor, you can write down that one will be equal to total voltage is VBB, okay, minus the maximum voltage, that is Vp. Okay, that will be the voltage across the capacitor. VBB is the supply voltage. Look at here, VBB is this supply voltage. Vp is the V will be reaching to that voltage. Okay, so Vp will be that voltage. That will be the voltage across the capacitor. Okay, then how to calculate the R max? It will be equal to VBB minus Vp divided by Ip. Okay, that is the corresponding current. Okay, then this one you can write down VBB minus Vp is eta into VBB plus BD. BD is the voltage drop across the diode disk divided by Ip. Then how to decide the R minimum value? What is the minimum value of R? So within this range, the value of the R will be, means the peak. If you see the peak value of current, if you compare the value, peak value of current is less than the value of the current. Okay, so here, even though this is the peak corresponding to the peak point, the current is less than the value point. But if you see the voltage of the value point, if you compare the voltage, so voltage at the value point, that one is less than the peak voltage. Okay, so these two things you have to remember as far as UJT is concerned. So R minimum will be equal to VBB. What is the minimum voltage? That is VB divided by IB. Okay, so this formula, if you remember, you can find out what is the range of the maximum resistance and minimum resistance. Okay, maximum resistance and minimum resistance. From that you can calculate. And so you'll be getting one question. Let's say solve one question. So question is given like this: a relaxation oscillator okay, using an UJT is to be designed okay, for triggering an SCR. Okay, the UJT has the following data. So what is the following data given? The intrinsic standoff ratio, that eta value is given 0.72. Okay. Peak value of current, that is given 0.6 milliampere. Peak point current. Okay, that is the peak value of current, that is the peak point current. Okay. Peak point voltage, that is about 18 volt. Value point voltage, it is 1 volt. Then value point current, that is equal to 2.5 milliampere. Okay. RBB, that is given 5 kilo ohm. Okay. Normal leakage current. So leakage current when emitter is open. Okay. Emitter is open means no current is coming from the emitter side, only it is coming from directly from VBB and R2 and R1. Okay. Emitter is open, so that is equal to 4.2 milliampere. The firing frequency, okay, the firing frequency means that F, okay, the firing frequency equal to 2 kilohertz. Okay. Then the capacitance value, it is given 0.04 microfarad. Then what it is asking, compute R1 and R2. Okay. So how to put this one? Let's solve this on the solution. So only taking the values, the formulas that we have discussed here, by taking those formulas we have to solve. So first thing is that we have to calculate R. What is the formula for R? It is nothing but T divided by C into ln 1 divided by 1 minus eta. Okay. So T, directly T is not given, but the frequency is given. So you can put it like this: 1 by F into C into ln 1 by 1 minus eta. Now you can put the values. So frequency is how much given? Frequency is given here, that is 2 kilohertz. So it will be 2 kilohertz 1 by 2000. So it will be 1 divided by 2000 into capacitor is 0.04 microfarad. So 0.04 microfarad into 10 to the power minus 6. So that you can take it here, 10 to the power 6 into ln 1 divided by 1 minus eta. So eta is given 0.72. 1 minus eta will be 0.28. Okay, so it will be 1 divided by 0.28. Now if you solve this one, you will be getting the value of 9.82 kilo ohm. Okay, that is the value of R. Okay, then next, what is the peak point voltage? Vp, that is given 18 volt. So Vp equal to 18 volt. So that value is equal to eta Vb, because no Vd is not given. So you can assume the Vd as ideal voltage. So that will ideal diode. So that is forming. So the Vd will be 0. So it will be equal to eta Vb. So from this value, you can find out what the value of Vb. So Vb will be equal to Vp divided by eta. So Vp is 18. eta is 0.72. So how much this one? This will be coming as 25 volt. Then next is R2. So how to calculate R2? We have define one empirical formula, that is 10 to the 4 by eta VB. 10 to the power 4 divided by eta VBB. So that will be equal to 10 to the power 4 divided by 0.72 into VBB, that is nothing but 25 volt. 25. So if you solve, this will be 555.55 ohm. Then what will be the VBB? Now look at here. It is saying that the leakage current is given. So leakage current is given means current that is flowing here, that is I leakage. Okay, from this path whatever the current flow, that is the I leakage. So how to represent that one? VBB will be equal to the leakage current to find out the value of R1, okay, into R1 plus R2 plus RB1 plus RB2. Okay. So how to find out this one? So RB, it is given in other terms, the RBB. So RBB is nothing but, the internal resistance of the unijunction transistor. It will be RB1 plus RB2. So that we can put it here. So leakage current is given how much? Leakage current is given 4.2 milliampere. So we can put it 4.2 into 10 to the minus 3 into R1 is unknown. R2 already we have calculated, that is 555.55, and as a whole this 2 RBB is given 5 kilo ohm. So you can put it 5000. Okay. So this is equal to VBB. VBB already we have calculated, that is 25. Now from this you can calculate the value of R1. So R1 will be equal to something 396.8. So approximately you can put it 397 ohm. So this is how we'll be getting the design question. So that can be for any firing circuit. Okay, if it is a resistance firing circuit, if it is a RC firing circuit, or if it is UJT firing circuit, if it is asking to design, then you have to calculate the resistances and capacitances that is used for designing that circuit. Okay, so up to this clear. So next class will be discussing, next lecture will be discussing about the reverse recovery of the thyristor. Then we'll be moving to the other devices. Okay, thank you for listening.